with Berserker, and we're looking
Berserk.
at Fury of the Vengeful. And okay, so if we're looking at Frightening Fury at 6th level, which is if you become infuriated, so you want to lose control. Yes,
Mm.
that's the whole subclass is supposed to be about. If you're picking the subclass with the infuriated condition, you gotta play into it.
That's fair. What I will point out is that if you position well after you become infuriated, your gameplay is almost boring. Because you
How
must
so?
spend your movement to advance towards the nearest creature. You attack, and like you can do some things with like attacking that creature to your fullest extent, sure. But you also can't take bonus actions and reactions, which means you can't use your retaliation feature.
You would be. You would already be raging. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, you wouldn't need retaliation because you'd already be raging.
Good point. Sorry, I misread retaliation, my bad.
I do think that I think the most valid point of it is and the only um point of I don't want to say contention, but the part that rings true for me about like I'm totally for it. The 2-stage rage thing, it gives very much the frenzy barbarian vibes with a little bit more flavor because you've got like a fear aura and stuff attached to it, and then all the rest of the class is about what happens when a creature's frightened by you. They become severed, and then you get to do stuff, and severed. It's just a phenomenal condition. For you, not your enemies, of course. But I do think I do think that 4th bullet point, you become blind to the difference between friend and foe. I think that's going to be the hardest sell, to ask players to go from standard raging to infuriated. I'm almost wondering.
Yeah.
Go on. I was going to say.
Is there something we can do, or?
I think so. The initial vibe that we can still keep the tone of that, but make it more of a tactical choice. Where if you are not, so if you something to the effect of the WotC mechanical language is not rolling off the tongue. But effectively, if you're not attacking the person who is nearest to you at the start of your turn, it's like the reverse of threat management, right? You have advantage to attack the closest target to you, and disadvantage against all others. Which kind of like what Ida was saying, and I think what's the general tone of this class, kind of in general, is yes, it's rage, yes, it's fury, yes, it's kind of unhinged, but there is still this like tactical, interlinked kind of strategy to this. So we want to reward good positioning. So if a person is playing a Fury of the Vengeful Berserker to their utmost, it is, you're trading the detriments of no bonus actions, reactions, and not being able to willingly end your rage for the bonuses of no longer taking recoil damage, and also, if you're positioning correctly and your enemies can't run away from you and your allies stay far away from you, you can have advantage on the targets that you want to hit. But that is still something that's outside of your control. I think it might mechanically convey the vibe of that without being such a big detriment, especially when there's other stuff in the Berserker kit in general, like some of the aspects that are designed about being in the middle of your allies. Whereas, when you're playing like a I'm trying to remember the name of the new light custom character trait that makes you go crazy and attack your allies.
Berserk.
Berserk. Oh, it's literally Berserk. Okay, cool. That that's obviously a detriment. You can get around it, but I think it'd be more interesting if it was half the time a benefit and half the time a detriment. I think that makes it more of a tactical calculation for players.
I have an alternative proposal.
Phenomenal.
Right now, the way this subclass is set up, the gameplay I can see happening with it is you put yourself in the middle of a bunch of enemies, you become infuriated, and then you immediately do your best to end infuriated as quickly as possible before moving on to the next group of enemies, and then becoming infuriated again.
Yeah.
That said,
go on, sir.
sorry, no, what were you going to say though?
I was just gonna say, how difficult is it to get out of infuriated? It's a wisdom
into your
saving
mental-
throw.
Yeah, if you get into your mental stats, not all that much, and it's any mental saving throw, I believe.
Yeah, and if you pick wisdom as the mental stat at the very start for your woven mail, it's you can build to be able to shake out of infuriated. So maybe it's not that bad. Maybe.
But for that sort of like quick switching in and out of infuriated, the biggest obstacle to that is that you gain
one stage of
exhaustion.
exhaustion. Yeah, that's true.
And exhaustion can be ignored, especially through things like adrenaline rush, but I don't know if we want to specifically make every single vengeful berserker take human.
No, I agree.
It's the
Big
point
agree.
of
I think it's
berserker.
interesting.
You're supposed to. You have all these options that are just going to be a bonus action. Like you can do an additional melee attack roll, the dodge action, plus 10 bonus to hit, and you get it for free every turn while you're raging. It's just a bonus action. You can do this, but it's always supposed to come at the cost of you are on the precipice of being absolutely infuriated, and now you have to deal with these additional kind of detrimental effects.
I think the biggest detriment isn't you become blind to the difference between friend and foe, because that can be dealt with through, like, we already have the saving throw. Also just good positioning. It's that you can't use your bonus actions to do any of these because you can't take bonus actions.
I mean, do we think it's worth taking that part out? Like the bonus actions or reactions while you're infuriated.
Unless it's for these particular bonus actions. You can only take these bonus actions.
Well, let's think about this, because
we could put a sentence here which is just
except for those granted by the infuriated. That's true. Because this is kind of. I don't want to pigeonhole ourselves into the thinking. There are going to be some players that look at this and go, "That's not a downside for me. I'm okay with this," right? And it's the same people that when they're building their custom characters in New Light are going, "Yeah, I'll take Berserk. That's not a problem for me. I love this." Like Ido's saying, if I just position well, that's fine. And the consequence of hitting my allies, whatever. That's good drama. I don't care, right? Like, so maybe, and that is a fantasy, right? That is a power fantasy, but playing characters that don't have control. So, and in that same way, I actually do like. I think this is actually, and I'm half telling myself this because I think you're right. I look at a feature like this and I go, I don't want that, because I don't like playing characters like that. But I'm also the same guy that doesn't like having my characters charmed to hate my friends because they're my friends. But that's a me issue.
Do you also struggle picking the renegade options on your Mass Effect playthroughs?
I can't. Well, so I've only dabbled a little bit in Mass Effect, but the one that is absolute.
Do you also struggle with your evil playthroughs?
Yes, I was literally about to say I can't make Arthur Morgan a bad cowboy. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Even before knowing how all that ends, I couldn't make him be a bad cowboy. I just couldn't do it. The amount of times that I have done a complete full playthrough of that game again with the pretense of I'm gonna be a bad boy, and then at the end of it, I'm the same honorable man, Arthur Morgan. Is too damn high. That is the game I have completed the most because of that. But anyway, all of that to say, I think you're right, Ida. This probably actually isn't the most detrimental. The fact that you're turning off some of your abilities is, I think, the part that's going to go. Well, what's
So another thing we can do, because like you're absolutely right. There are some people who look at this and they're like, "Oh, fun time," but I think especially when you're looking at the population that we have that play on server, let alone just like the D and Destiny population that exists, it's a very small percentage of people that look at this and say that's a fun time. We could try to come up with other detriments. It could be that you gain twice as much stress, and the DC increases as your stress increases, and because you cannot willingly end it, you cannot stop the stress from potentially KOing you.
Yeah, now I like that. I do like that. Simply because you're then asking the player, hey, do you want to just go infuriated a little bit, or are you giving into the rage, right? Like, or also for the player that maybe didn't pick wisdom as their as their to end the infuriated condition, right? You do get to pick it. What's the one that's was
the one that you it's the,
yeah.
the one, yeah.
You get to pick. Got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, taking twice as much recoil damage I think is also good. Yeah, I kind of like that.
Want to word this? It's just should we say whenever you take
recoil damage due to stress, you take twice as much.
Okay, due to stress.
Yeah, due to stress should probably be because like what, somebody's got Tommy's matchbook and it's burning them twice as much, doesn't Yeah. This is for other effects that are like the Berserker superpower that we were throwing out there. The idea that Ring of Pain, where when you take, I like that just being recoil damage in general, right? I think that's cool, because then you could just build a kit that is, I hurt myself, but don't worry, everyone around me is getting a headache as well. But for this, it should just be because of the sheer amount of stress you're dumping into yourself as you're using these powers.
The one counterpoint that I do have to, it's a very small fraction of our population, is that we have 45 subclasses total. 1 out of 45 is 2.222%.
Which is also a small amount.
Yeah. Do you think those two populations are roughly equivalent?
Probably.
I do kind of lean a little bit more towards, well, obviously not every class and not every subclass has to appeal to every player. Duh.
Mm-hmm.
There's too many of them for us to do that. They'd all just be the same goddamn thing. It would be super washed down and super boring for everyone. But I do think this opens it up to a few more people who would like this gameplay minus the Berserk. And then if you just take the Berserk away, then they're like, oh, I do want to do the infuriated thing. I want to get so pissed off I kill myself,
Yeah.
That's true. And you know what? We can always put you go insane and have to attack everything and everyone as an exotic, or even as an alternate feature, or even as a Strand thread.
Feat.
That could just be a feat.
It could be a feat.
Or feet.
Though I wouldn't describe it as going insane. Getting pissed off is very different from that. Getting pissed off, especially if it's righteous. Oh, if it's righteous.
That's fair, yeah.
Righteous anger is so satisfying. There, I said it.
It is.
But are we okay with infuriated in this stage now, in this version?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
At the very least, I think this is the more approachable version, which will mean we'll see some playtest of it, so we can at least get the other 80% of the mechanics go. And then if we're like, this is boring, you just change it back.
Yeah, you just change it.
Yeah.
And then, what was the other comment? We didn't have anything else on that subclass. No. Ido
had a comment about I can't take this anymore.
Well, yeah, that's the Fury of Thousands.
Oh, right, and this subclass.
Yeah.
My listening's important.
Reading is important. See, Russ. Anyways.
You're just gonna have him catch a stray here? That's crazy.
This is how I show my appreciation to my players.
Yeah, that's right.
So this was something that Draconic and I were messing around with the other day, which is trying to come up with a third subclass for Berserker and Fury of the Thousands. First of all, it just sounds cool. Second of all, I don't know, seems kind of cool. But okay.
Riven, Strand user? Question.
Riven, Strand user? My gosh. But okay. Your rage coils in parallel. You may immediately begin raging whenever you cast a Strand power. That's the whole core of the class, is that you are casting powers when you pick this archetype. And Eidolon's comment on what we had here is, I really like the idea of I can't take it anymore, but I don't think it should be in the form of threadlings. Maybe roll some amount of dice equal to your stress. And threadlings are cool, but we already have a threadling vomit class, and this class would primarily use threadlings for more damage on weapon attacks as it's currently set up. And that is the point, is that it is just supposed to be you're using your threadlings on your weapon attacks. And it's supposed to be your casting powers, and yeah.
That's the point I do agree with here, is that actually it does create a break in the loop of I cast power, I get threadling, I shoot shit because I cast a power, then that, threadling, and then back and forth, round and around it goes. Neural overload breaks that cycle in a way that it is a better use of your threadlings, but it's inherently breaking the loop, which I tend to agree, because especially if we treat neural overload here as casting a power, then how cool is that then if you explode in stress, clear a bunch of stuff, and then you use your bonus action to finish off anyone who is left standing. That's just such a badass scene in my brain. But
if we were to play around with the idea of, okay, let's not have it channel around threadlings. Like, let's just play around with that idea and see what we can come up with for this. Mm-hmm. If we were to take the threadling aspect out of the loop.
I do like. I think dice equal to stress is a good place to start, because that does play into the loop of I'm vexing and stressing myself in order to cast powers, make attacks. I'm burning the candle from both ends. It's all mounting and building up. Now there's not just one vein bulging at my temple. There's two, there's three. Now I have the anime little anger emote on my face, and I explode. Right? Yeah. I think that's fine.
Unraveling Wrath, that can stay as is. That's you cast your power, you begin raging. And casting powers doesn't end your rage. Interwoven Warpath does have to be completely redone. Tangled Onslaught's fine. Interwoven Warpath, which is you create one purge threadling. Like if we're taking threadlings off this subclass.
Are we completely? Okay.
Yeah, like if we're messing around with that play space of we're taking the threadlings completely off. What does that look like? What does this class look like?
Are we taking threadlings completely off, or just off of neural overload?
What would be the benefit to taking it off neural overload instead of anything else?
Because otherwise... Because threadlings can be used normally. You can make a threadling, immediately use it on a weapon attack, and that's the way I see this class mostly working. If you keep neural overload as is with the threadlings, then you have to make a decision between either storing your threadlings to explode, or between just using threadlings to enhance your weapon attacks. And I don't think that's a particularly compelling choice. So removing threadlings only off of neural overload would kind of allow those two features to work better together. I'll have it more be about building up stress than building up threadlings.
And it just so happens that a delightful side effect of stressing yourself out is you get little emotional support threadlings to go rip apart your enemies.
Your emotional support threadlings, yeah.
That said,
your emotional support centipedes.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. hmm This doesn't bother me, but so
It's
you're
gonna
not
bother
inflicting
some
psychological.
players.
It will. It will. Absolutely. Yeah. Imagine when we post this in a little dev note box, it's actually canon that all threadlings are actually centipedes. Suffer.
I'm using minus spiders.
I was about to say, I cannot wait until we get the player who does either this or Birdweaver and is just like, I'm gonna put my spiders on my ally. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you feel them crawling around? Can you feel their thousands of legs? Hate this.
Fury of the thousands. It's just the fury of their thousands of tiny little feet all over you.
If we're
Yeah.
not making the I can't take this anymore based on threadlings, I think we do need to rename this. Because the point of Fury of calling it Fury of Thousands is that it's supposed to be, it's a threadling vomit. That's the thousands.
I mean,
Thousands of stress.
Thousands of
thousands of stress.
No, but realistically, we'd have to rename it, or we have to lean into the threadling generation and the threadling usage more.
You don't think it makes enough threadlings at present in order
I
to?
don't think it's revolving around threadlings enough to keep that name.
Just because the capstone doesn't
Well, if we take
hypothetically.
threadlings off the capstone, then yeah, I think definitely 100% we have to rename it.
Okay.
because
Do you think you
not-
gain threadlings after you explode?
Yeah. What if you get like a threadling per creature hit?
I was gonna say,
That's a lot all at once.
That is a lot.
yeah,
No, that's true.
explode. Okay, 15-foot sphere. Make a deck save. Just gain the max amount of threadlings possible.
Can we play around in another fun play space?
Sure.
Sure.
What if we take all of this and we're like, hey, let's just boop. Let's try again. And this time. This time, making a subclass, or the official game term is archetype, but everyone calls them subclass. Anyway, making a subclass that revolves around teleporting at your target and then meleeing them immediately after.
So, Oh my Washindaru, the Berserker Titan. Okay.
Where you just want to teleport and you want to punch things with your teleport.
Huh. Okay. Well, let's play around in the space. Because that is interesting. That is fun. Would it effectively be you can on your turn, if you spend a point of stress, you can treat all movement you make as teleporting? And then if you attack a creature after teleporting, this thing occurs? Maybe?
We could do
Because obviously we need a stress generation mechanic.
I don't know what the bonus would be. Damage, to hit, knockback, knock prone, whatever. Whatever the bonus would be.
Yeah.
Then imagine if it's like you can when you teleport, a higher level thing might be like when you teleport, gain over shields, which can help with survivability when you're taking a ton of recoil damage for being a berserker.
Yeah, sure.
Could we possibly move these together with what we've done down here? Is there room for it?
Maybe. Actually, kind of like that. Honestly, maybe we could.
If you take out the threadlings, then yeah, I think there is room for it.
If we did them all together at once.
It could be, right? Especially for removing the threadlings. It could be that this is a special teleport attack that when you're because it's currently when you cast a power, you can immediately begin raging, and then right here at Tangled Onslaught, we have it so that way when you cast a Strand power, you can use your bonus action to gain a stress and make a weapon attack. What if we also give them it's gain 1 stress, teleport up to your movement speed, and then make a weapon attack, or vice versa, right?
Yeah.
However, we could just tack that on there, which means.
Or it could also be you spend threadlings to gain overshields.
Okay, so still threadlings, but we give them a little bit of some dynamic ways to spend those threadlings, perhaps, instead of just doing damage.
Perhaps.
I don't hate that.
Or what I have in my head is on 3rd level, you take recoil, you gain a threadling. On 6th, on your bonus action attack, or your 6th level allows you to teleport. Maybe that's just worked into the current feature, maybe something else, unsure. And then 11th could be about overshields.
Okay.
Because they're both defensive features, I guess.
Additionally, too, if we do want this to be the Threadling Berserker, right? And they get some very Titan ways of spending Threadlings, making it very distinct from the way that the Broodweaver is spending Threadlings. Which I think we can do. I think we can have our cake and eat it too. There can be a Titan that uses Threadlings, and there can be a Broodweaver that does Threadlings. They don't like each other, but it'll be fine. When have Titans and Warlocks ever gotten along? Don't look at Osiris and Saint. As Eidolon told me yesterday, the exceptions prove the rule. That gives me a different idea for the 18th level feature, and I think, funnily enough, the fact that you could flavor this in the most horrifying way possible makes me very, very happy. What if it's like at 18th level, you generate a threadling at the start of your turn, you generate a threadling for every point of stress that you have. And the idea is that they're literally just pouring out of you. So you become the host of the swarm. Maybe it's a thing you need to activate, right? You use an action, take X amount of stress, but then immediately just start generating threadlings. They're just pouring out of you.
Possibly when you reach 18th level, if you use your bonus action to begin raging, throughout the duration of your rage, you generate 1 perched threadling for each
point of stress.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of also softly balanced by the fact that I don't think we give this Berserker Titan the ability to go above the normal limit of how many threadlings you can have. That should be the Broodweaver thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I think gives it a cool interaction to, all right, man, we're stressed out. Cool. We're just going to lean into that now. This isn't going away. Fury of the Swarm. We might run into some StarCraft legal issues, I think.
What?
I think that's a star. Yeah, I know, crazy.
Is it?
I'm looking it up now. Yeah, that's Fury of the Swarm. Yeah.
Well, that's
yeah,
a video
StarCraft
game. This
thing.
is a TTRPG. They can't possibly.
True. They could. There's no overlap. Yeah, absolutely. What's a Destiny anyway?
Right. Yeah. Okay. But if we're going to, all right. So if we come back here, we have when you cast a power, you may begin raging. And your rage doesn't end so long as you cast powers. And then, on the turn you begin raging, also each time you take recoil damage, you create 1 perched threadling for yourself.
Yeah.
Honestly, never mind. I think this class is just kind of fine. Tangled Onslaught, Sever the Thought, that's no longer losing concentration due to taking damage, is way more powerful in 2E than in 1E.
Yeah. For sure. Or wait, do you mean it's more powerful in 1E than it is in 2E?
It's more powerful in 2E than it is in 1E.
It has more of an impact.
It has a way bigger impact.
Interesting. Okay.
Um,
I know
that
some
could
1E. I know
be
some 1E players that'd be frothing at the mouth for that power. But
sure, but one is also built with like you have Well of Radiance, which already takes that.
that's true. But I think that's the only super that gets that special treatment.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, they're every.
Okay, so if we're not going to do the detonation anymore, what were we putting in here again? We were doing the...
So the idea that whenever you're you said using a bonus action into your rage, I would just say whenever you enter a rage, because we have a unique mechanic to start our rage here. But basically that while raging at the start of your turns, you generate a threadling per point of stress that you've accumulated. And obviously that just can't go over the max amount of threadlings you can have, because that would be horrific. And that's a Broodweaver special.
Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, threadlings. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is it did I call it a stress score? Now I have to go look at the... I just to the top of the class.
Is it just equal to your stress?
Yeah, I don't think you said stress score.
Stressed out.
No, gain an amount of stress equal to your it's just stress.
One additional point of stress.
Points.
Yeah, that's okay. They're called points of stress. All right.
Yeah, you could just say accumulated stress, or each point of stress also works.
Okay.
Stress you have. Yeah, up to your yeah. You're way ahead of me.
So
Way
then,
ahead of me, Kit Kat.
if we do that, leave it as an actual name.
Damn.
For Sever the Thought, do we want a different way to have introduce a different way to spend threadlings?
Well, we had that teleport idea.
Either teleport or overshields, or both. Because I would no longer lose concentration, it's a lot.
Well, that's why it's at 11th level.
Yeah. Also, you don't make concentration checks while you're in your shields anyway. In 2E.
Yes. That's why it's more powerful.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you're covering for the... Losing your super when you're... Or, well, that's most likely it's your super, but losing concentration when you're taking health point damage is horrifying. That's when you lose your shield alignment, that's when you lose your access to your special actions, that's when you lose access to the things that are probably keeping you alive.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Very valid point. So, okay, cool. So then I'm fine with that being, while raging, once on your turn, you can spend a threadling to grant yourself overshields. Because that's kind of softly giving that effect, right? You just need to spend a resource to be giving yourself overshields to try to keep yourself out of taking hit point damage. Which, if you're super, super stressed out, might be a losing battle, but you can at least slow it down.
Number of threadlings equal to your overshield maximum? Or not equal to your overshield maximum, but like one threadling per 5 points? Or
interesting. Let's see. This will be 11th level. So at this point, this is one of the levels that threadling power jumps. This is also, I believe, one of the levels that your overshields go up. So we don't need to math this out for lower levels. We could just give this a flat cost and then be fine with the amount of overshields that they're getting, right?
That's true.
So we could just do 2 threadlings.
This is fine, I think.
Yeah. Or even just 1. And again, we can always try it with 1, and if it turns out that a Fury of the Thousands Berserker is just unkillable because spending 1 threadling when, 1 threadling at the start of their turn is not that big of a deal, then, we can make it more expensive. They need to be a little bit more stressed out in order to make that as efficient as possible. Well, that'll be at 18th level. But yeah, I think 1, because right now, whenever they cast a power, they're just getting 1 threadling. So unless if they're using their action to cast the threadling grenade, they might not actually have that many threadlings at a given time.
Okay, so 6th level. I don't know, guys. You're talking about 11th level. That's staying there at 11th level. We're not moving that anywhere else.
This
Moving.
is. Oh, I was talking about getting rid of it. Honestly, not moving it.
Yeah.
No, we're not getting rid of that.
Fair enough.
Oh, okay.
That's right. This is longer than I think anything else in the game. Any other class in the game can teleport at the moment.
That's only because the other ones don't scale on this yet.
Okay.
Ooh, yet. That's
If that is going to be future scaling, then noted.
5 times your proficiency bonus. I mean, that's also at like what plus, like at what 4 proficiency bonus, 5 proficiency bonus. It's 25 feet of teleport range.
The max your PB can be, I think right now, if you're not a Void Walker, I think it's
6,
7,
6.
8. I think it's either +8 or +9.
+9.
Plus 9 for prismatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're doing prismatic at that time. So
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah. That's
if you
fine.
teleport 45 feet, yeah, that's.
I would.
Sure, you're. Yeah.
I think at that point your grapple grenade goes like
Oh my gosh!
twice that distance.
Yeah. And honestly, I kind of like there being a teleport option in the Berserker, especially given that this class is receiving a different way to use their bonus action, because the grapple grenade is a big contender for your bonus action usage. It's a big contender in Strand, right? Because it's great.
The
it's
distance
awesome.
You can cover with it is.
It's distance, it's damage, it's great. I'll never stop glazing grapple grenade in Threadrunner. That was
in the video game. Like grapple is like I was a Night Stalker main, and then Strand came out. I was like, friendship ended with Night Stalker. Strand is my new BFF, just because I want to grapple all over the place. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I'm bad at it, so I don't see it, but it's a definitive skill issue for me. Strand never won my heart over. But
I want to rename this because Sever is it's not a condition we have, but it is a condition, or it's a verb in the video game, and we don't want to get that confused.
That was Strand word vomit, because I was really upset at seeing name, which I did that to myself. So I was just like, all right, Strand buzzwords with brain stuff. Cool, sever the thought. And it sounds like, I can't actually remember the expression, but there is a like blank the thought expression, meant to be like, don't stop it. Stop thinking that way. And it was a play on words, but it doesn't work.
Unraveling also needs to come out of here, because unraveled we do have. So this one needs to change.
When I first put that in there, that was the ability to stress yourself to cause strand damage and an AoE around targets you damaged. So unraveling made more sense there. But yeah. Again, these were Strand buzzword plus word.
No, I'm not saying you did a bad job. I'm just saying they gotta be
fair enough.
Because you did a bad job.
True. Understood. Thank you. This critique will be filed away, and I'll cry about it later.
Okay. Right before you fall asleep, right? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, we just want to come up with names of those. We don't have to come up with them now. We can hop over to the comments that I see on Threadrunner, and we can go talk about those next. Unless there's any final thoughts we have about this archetype.
I have one final thought.
Uh-huh.
Oh, hello. I kind of want to make Tangled Onslaught require you to cast a power on your action.
Okay. Should it be whenever they cast a power, or only while raging? I kind of want it to be whenever they cast a power.
Whenever they cast a power.
Okay.
Yep. I think otherwise, that's too many limitations.
You're always going to be raging anyways. If you cast a power, you begin raging.
Yeah, when you use your action to cast a power, you may dissipate one of your perch things, cause one of the following effects. Okay. And then it's gain over shields, gain 1 point of stress. So when you use your action to cast a power, what are their action? Because right now I don't think they have... Frenzy's Blade is an attack, Executioner's Blade is an attack, Shackle, I guess, is an action, Blade Fury is a bonus action, Ring of Pain is a bonus action.
Ooh, that's true.
When it says like, oh, you use your action to cast power, does that include if you cast a power as part of the action, or?
No, it would have to be you spend your action on the cast a power action.
I see.
We could change that.
It could be when you cast a power on your turn.
Yeah.
When you cast a power on your turn works, yeah.
Yeah. And probably specify Strand power.
I almost want to leave it as when you cast a power.
It won't matter because Prismatic has wording that allows you to...
Oh yeah, that's right. Prismatic does unshackle you in that way.
Yep.
That's cool. Oh, and sorry, all of the weapon attack stuff is a bonus action. The main mechanical interaction I was trying to avoid was I cast my barricade to do another attack.
Yeah.
Especially considering that that's fine in Destiny 2 because the barricades by themselves are boring. The class powers are only good in addition to the other stuff that they get in Destiny in the actual video game. But here, the barricades are good, right? Like, yeah, rally barricade just empowering you is great, and then towering barricade actually being a real wall that people can't walk through is so awesome. And I just didn't want it to be I drop a barricade behind myself and then immediately shoot you for at that level tier 2 empowered for free because that's I think a little too good.
If we did any of that, it'd probably be on a single attacking class, like maybe Defender.
Right,
not
exactly.
On an extra attack class.
Yes. It took one of our other players mentioning that Defender, because I haven't played Finley as a 2E Defender yet, and they're going like, oh yeah, we don't have extra attack anymore, and I was like, no, what? I was like, I understand, because counter attack, but but with Rallycade, it's fine, because Empowered is great.
I have so many thoughts on Defenders and extra attack, but that's off topic.
That's not what we're doing today. I know. I apologize. Paper Shredder Pingy Brain is threatening to derail at every moment. Is this good then? Tangled Onslaught.
I came in late. What are we discussing? Also, can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just
Hello,
fine.
Samuel.
Hello.
That's good to know. Sorry.
No, you're good.
But yes, what is the topic?
Kitty?
Carp?
Carp?
We're currently looking over the Berserker subclasses. I think we're about to switch topics to Threadrunner.
Yeah, we're about to hop over to Threadrunner. Do we have someone join us? We did. We had Samo. Sorry, I had to hop out for real fast. Hi, Samo. Welcome to the party.
Hello.
Yeah, we basically just finished up going over some of Ida's comments, hateful, rueful comments
It's
about our work.
absolutely just the worst.
Yeah.
Just Ruth. Okay.
I'm gonna have to talk to my therapist.
You
about it.
love me.
Let's head over to Threadrunner. Spider's Cradle, which is the super that we made for Threadrunner. Our goal is for that each of our Strand and Stasis classes will have 2 super options minimum. Ideally, we get up to 3, but minimum 2 because we want people to have more things to do than just, we want more choices and cool stuff.
Yeah. It also aches and irks me so much that the Darkness classes are limited to one super.
It's been
That's
years.
It's a soapbox for another day, because y'all know me at this point. I'll just talk, and I just won't stop. I won't stop bashing it. It hurts, especially since they suck. But anyway.
No, I actually like them. I think they're a lot of fun, and I just wish we had more. I just want more things to do with my powers. That's it. I'm greedy. Anyways.
Yes. I was literally about to start talking about how Behemoth Titan is one of the worst supers in the entire universe. But
thematically, it's cool as hell. You cast it, and you just come shattering through the wall like Kool-Aid Man.
That's why we're here in the first place, is because the thematics of this are incredible. It's just that the execution.
Oh my god, we gotta stop doing
We're
this.
doing it. We're doing it.
Okay, back
I'm
to
sorry.
Spider's
No.
Cradle.
I'll be good. I'm sorry.
Okay, Spider's Cradle. Ido's comment on this was, do we want to give enhancements on all grenades? So right now, the super essentially creates your Spider-Man web, and you get bonuses while you and your teammates get bonuses while you're on the web and doing things on the web. And one of those things is that if you cast the grapple grenade and use a point within 20 feet of the web as your anchor point, you regain a grenade power charge after resolving the grapple grenade power. So it's like infinite grapple. And Threadrunner, the class gives you grapple, so you don't have to spend your learn a power uses on that grenade. You just have it by default. But do we want to do enhancements on all grenades for this? And I kind of want to say no.
I'm also leaning towards no.
Because we would essentially be giving them the aspect from the Broodweaver on the super.
That's my point. That was literally my point. Yep. And I don't want a super to grant spect. Choice. I think it's just meant to be a unique interaction because, like you said, Kitty, grapple is baked into Threadrunner. You can't be a Threadrunner and not have grapple. So this is just obviously assuming you have this ability in your kit, and it's providing an enhancement for that one specifically.
And it reflects that video game thing of when you grapple a grapple point, you get the grenade back.
Exactly. You just get to make your grapple points.
Yeah.
Since we're not throwing the tangle interaction in here, because tangles are just auto-made and then chucked. Well, not auto-made, but when you make them, you're automatically throwing them.
Absolutely chucked. My comment on this superpower is to ask everyone here, how do we feel about the duration? Which is A, it's up to 1 minute, it's not concentration, and it's a 16+ recharge.
Oh, I forgot about the 16+ recharge.
That concentration is fine, I think. I don't think this super needs concentration. And it's not... Yeah, I don't think it needs concentration.
Okay.
Question.
Yes.
While you're concentrating on a power, you cannot regain a charge for it. Would you be able to regain a...
Yes,
would you be...
Yes.
Okay.
You could technically Spider's Cradle, get lucky, and then immediately cast Silk Strike.
I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this.
The other thing we need to consider is that the web is a semi-transparent hard surface. Does that mean you can't shoot through it or walk through it? And if that's the case, what happens if the Threadrunner casts this to put up a wall bigger than any barricade you've ever seen? Bigger than the Ward of Dawn.
It's only 20-foot diameter. It's not 20-foot radius. So I don't actually think it'll be bigger than Ward of Dawn.
Actually, yeah, it might be 5 feet smaller than Ward of Dawn. Because I think Ward of Dawn's a 10-foot radius.
Correct.
And it's also not a circle. Or, sorry, it's not a sphere. It's only a circle. So what I'm imagining, okay, a Threadrunner puts up a vertical web, enemies can just walk around it.
They put up a vertical web. Well, if you can't shoot through it and the enemies can... Should we allow shockwaves to go through it?
Whoa. What do you mean shockwaves?
So, in 2nd edition, we have 2 different types of categories of stuff moving. I don't know what you would even call it. There's projectiles and there's waves. And there are some things that only stop projectiles but does not stop waves. And there are some things that stop waves but they don't stop projectiles.
What's one of these interactions? I'm unaware of this.
With the
I-
Arc Spider Super, you spin your staff and you only block projectiles.
Yes.
Oh.
So you
if
can block
something-
a Nova Bomb, but you can't block like a wave of fire or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
You couldn't stop like the stomp attack on a lot of bosses because that's a shockwave.
Interesting. I don't know if I like this being able to be used like a Word of Dawn or a barricade. I was actually going to suggest we change hard surface to traversable surface. Because it's a web. It's not a solid wall. There's gaps in it. And I like it being a liberating thing for your allies. And the idea that, oh, it's a thing that we can like move through, we can climb along it. I think that that's obviously what we want, but I think it's actually going to be, it could potentially become cumbersome to a team to shoot around it or through it if it's used vertically. Like if it's used to make a wall. I don't, yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or just semi-transparent surface then.
I think I like the word traversable in there because if we... hang on, because I think the surface part is actually the part that... It's going to get us having 15 people hopping up into the questions channel and saying, does this mean you can walk through it? We might need to just put wording in there that addresses that so they can read the sentence and be like, oh, that answers my question, and then they keep playing, and they don't gotta...
Traversable area, perhaps, instead of surface? You're just marking that this
Yeah.
area can be moved through. Which I also like, because that, hypothetically speaking, you could use that to overcome difficult terrain or potentially even deadly terrain, right? Or like impassable terrain in a weird world, right?
I think I still want to put that... I think I want to put the blatant wording in here somehow.
Tabletop RPG players needing assistance with their reading comprehension? Kitty,
Hey,
come on now.
hey now. I, as a tabletop RPG player, resemble that remark.
Web is a semi-transparent area paracausally mounted in space that you can walk through, that you can move through.
Personal area, paracausal mounted in place that you can move through. Yep. It's just.
Okay.
Yep.
I think we need the
Yeah.
walk-on part in there because that you can
Yeah.
move through. Again, I'm just imagining someone because you have to understand that the TTRPG players, especially if they've been playing for a really long time and they've played a lot of rules crunchy games, they tend to have a programmer's approach to reading.
You're right.
Yep. And we can.
That's actually one of the ways that I explain game language to people who aren't used to reading tabletop RPG books. Is you got to think about it like a math equation, right?
It's an equation. It's a program, and
Mm-hmm.
you gotta put in. We can put in 2 extra words here and answer half the questions that some people are going to have when they read this for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I
Hopefully,
would say it's not traversable, but yeah.
And it leads to word editor, auto like grammar and spell check software is getting very upset at you for being redundant. It's like, no, you don't understand. It has to be phrased this way.
It has to be. And we might have in a situation, we post this and people read it and they still have 15 million questions for us. One of my favorite
it'll
stories
happen.
of all time to tell about Dungeons & Destiny, especially first edition, is how I stopped a daily question by moving a column in the class table.
Yep.
I
Wait,
didn't
really?
even change it. Okay, so early on in first edition, I want to say like 0.5-ish era.
Okay.
I was getting questions every single day, usually multiple times a day, people coming in and saying, hey, what's light level? What is my light level? How do I find my light level? And we still get that occasionally, but
Sure.
nowhere near what I was dealing with at that time. And I had done everything I thought I could with the wording and the placement and all of that to try to get people to read the light level section of their character class. And I was looking at it after the recent batch of questions, and I was staring at this table and I went, oh my god. So the problem was that originally your class table it was your level, your proficiency bonus, your light level, your features. And people were skipping over it because they were trained on 5e that everything
Yep.
in those left columns was always the same and just skip it and go
Yep.
to the features column. So I
Yep.
moved light level to the right, and that's why it's always to the right now. And that
Makes so
oh,
much sense. Yep, that makes
the questions
so much sense.
dried up overnight.
Yep. Yeah, I believe it. I believe
I
it.
love
Yeah, because you're.
how even telling that story, you're in awe of this simple change.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
UI is
1,000,000%.
important. User interface is super important. Half your game is your UI.
True.
But anyways,
True.
let's get back to what we're supposed to be doing here. God damn it, Draconic, you can't let me get off topic.
What? Why is that my fault? What did I do?
That's because you're the.
I guess well, no, I asked. In the eponymous question of who asked, it was me. So, actually though, that did bring me back to a minor editing point, because I literally went to scroll up to the top of Broodweaver, to look at this, just because that was the one I was weirdly in at the time. We could probably remove Psychic Energy, huh?
Oh yeah, we don't need that column anymore. So what we're gonna do? So fun fact. We don't actually delete the column. We do just we leave. There is a column here in every table, and that's in case we add a class resource, and that just stays there forever.
Yeah, that's fine.
But what's
Hell
our
yeah.
next? What's our next comment on Threadrunner? Let's scroll down until we find that comment. Okay. Okay. So we had Eidolon left a comment. We had I think we have the basic ideas of all three of our archetypes. And Eidolon left the comment that basically your each archetype is, you have the middle child, the oldest child, and the youngest child. Those are our three archetypes.
Yes.
So
They are.
quick question. Who's the youngest child, who's the middle child, and who's the oldest child?
In the order that we have the archetypes listed, Hooligan is middle, oldest is Daredevil, and Daydreamer is youngest.
So I definitely agree that Daredevil is the oldest child. Easy.
Yes.
Easy logic.
Yes.
I think Dreamer is the youngest child, though.
That's
Yeah,
what I said.
That's what I just said.
Oh, I got that back. Oh, I was in my head. It was back. Anyways, who cares?
Hooligan
That
is
was
middle. Hooligan is the middle child. As long as we agree on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I can
middle children are the attention seekers by any, they're the ones that get lost in the middle, right? So they do anything in their power to receive attention. Oh. Including be a nuisance. Yeah, they're a hooligan. Yeah.
Draconic said, "This just makes me want to write a little section of lore about 3 adoptive Strand hunter siblings." Aww.
Oh, yeah, no, genuinely, I immediately, as soon as I read that comment and started thinking about it for more than a second, I really wanted, and I might actually genuinely keep that as a prompt to do a little short fiction writing for myself, of doing, hang on, let me, of having some of the, telling a story of, alien guardians or alien risen, with, because I love the idea of a Vex method of the Dreamer, I think, the idea of them being outcasts of their own societies, but also from typical Guardian society because they're darkness users. So they don't fit in with their alien races because they're risen, but they don't fit in with the Guardians, and so it's just like a little found family of 3 siblings who very much have sibling dynamic. And yeah, they're yeah.
We do still need the short stories to go with all of our darkness classes. Because if you know how in 1E we have, at the start of every class, there's a little short story that's like, here's a character from this class existing in the world.
That's true.
Threadrunner could be a little short story about a little found family of adoptive Strand siblings.
I like it. I'll poke at it. I'll write it.
Okay, so method of the Dreamer. Dreamer's Delight. On your turn, you may use your bonus action to touch a willing creature, causing it to become charmed by you. Specified not yourself.
I don't want a dreamer to give this buff to themselves. I want this to be someone else.
You don't want a Narcissus?
Okay, no, that's a very good point.
Charmed by yourself.
Oh gosh.
That's a very good point, but as much as I love that from a purely mechanical standpoint. Okay, so from a purely mechanical standpoint, if you charm yourself, then I completely agree that while you have a creature charmed in this way, you can't spend weave dice. If you're charming someone else, I think you should be able to spend weave dice while you have a creature charmed.
I do agree. Yeah, because I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan in the world of using your subclass feature, excuse me, archetype feature. I'll go through the PR training again. Using your archetype feature disables your core class feature. That's the only bit of that I'm not super sold on that concept, because to be honest, this is the most efficient way to use weave dice. It is in this capacity, and it's got some pros and some cons to it, obviously. If you want to spend your weave dice in other moments elsewhere, that's a sacrifice you're going to be making, because this is already a great feature. Is my thinking. That's my thinking. Additionally, too, the idea, I do love the idea of being able to charm yourself, but hear me out, that sounds like a great Strand exotic artifact that is literally like a Strand Narcissus hand mirror. It should just
be a mirror, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah. And to use it, it has to be taking up a space in your hand, needs to be in your hand at all time, but then you can, yeah.
All right. So if we change that to touch a willing creature other than yourself, I don't think there's anything else that needs to change in here. Nothing else has to change. How do we feel about the disadvantage on strength and wisdom ability checks and saving throws while charmed?
Wonderful. It's nice.
Okay. Yep. I think it mechanically helps convey that idea, and you were making comments to this effect when we were working on this, Kitty, that it's that idea that you're so, you're not paying attention because you're lost in your daydream, and you're just kind of meandering around, so you can't like brace for impacts and stuff. I like it. And I think if we're giving this kind of a downside to it, we can. Oh, yeah. We got it. It's fine to omit the can't spend weave dice in the other ways, because this is a trade-off still at the end of the day.
How much this actually is a downside depends also entirely on the bestiary.
We do have a lot of creatures that cause strength, though. Like, more so than D&D could ever hope to. Because we have a lot of our boss monsters do stomps.
Stomp.
Yeah, stomps and shockwaves.
Also, I'm just thinking of Minotaur bull rushes. The idea that somebody's lost in a daydream, and then the Minotaur just wham knocks them.
Knocks them the fuck out.
Yeah, they just go straight into, to quote Kitty's favorite line, they go straight into the Family Guy death pose.
Okay. What other comments did we have in Threadrunner? Oh, we were working on Daredevil still. Okay.
Yes. I need you to know, Ido and I were cackling maniacally to ourselves the entire time we were writing these mechanics.
Oh boy. I haven't quite read through it all the way. Let me take a moment to look over the notes you have here. So we kept the expertise part. That's fine, and that's a fine feature. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, your experience with the weave lets you climb to greater heights. When you make an attack roll, you can spend a weave die. You increase your critical hit range and your critical miss range by an amount equal to half the weave die roll for the attack, minimum 1. If you roll a number on the d20 where your critical hit range and critical miss range overlap, I don't know if that's physically possible.
When your weave dice goes up.
18th level currently.
Yeah, it will eventually.
We might rewrite 18th level, but for in case we don't.
Yeah, this was also literally just where we were. It's not necessarily related to this. We were just scratching out some notes.
Yeah, I think this one would just be. It would just be. You still cause a critical hit. Like, we don't need to think about this too hard, and we don't hit. God, we don't need to think about this too hard, and we don't need to complicate it for the players. It's just, we're just going to give them the benefit. You still cause a critical hit because you spent a long rest resource on this. Just give it to them.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
What other longer run term as we roll it? That okay, and then these are just other ideas you had here.
Just other ideas.
At 6th level, if you roll a critical miss on an attack roll, you may use your reaction to make an int save against your own power save DC. On a successful save, you ignore the effects of the critical miss and can move up to 10 feet without provoking attacks of opportunity. Okay.
So it just becomes a normal attack.
Yeah.
And it's meant to mitigate the downside of 3rd level.
Yeah.
I'm...
This concept literally came from the idea that you had posited, Giddy, of like a method of the Daredevil Threadrunner would be like RDJ's Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Of just like, or my personal favorite spin on that, a Mr. Bean Threadrunner.
Mr. Bean Threadrunner. Oh my god.
Yeah. Of just like even when I fail, I know how to stick the landing, right?
Okay. I like the name. I like the concept that's going for here. I'm not sure I want to say average player, and keep in mind, the people who are playing in our New Light MMO are slightly above average in terms of like your tabletop RPG players.
Just kidding. You can't let them hear that. It'll go to their heads.
Yeah, I just had a whole sermon on that in the GM channel.
They are, because first of all, to A, have the guts to join an MMO TTRPG, and then B, to stick it out for your character to make it to 6th level. That puts them slightly above average. They're like 6s and 7s out of 10 minimum.
Wow. Wow.
But when you're
Like,
looking
so
at
what,
your,
like
your
an 8
4s
with
and
filters?
5s, when you're looking at your 4s and 5s, I'm not sure they're going to quite get it when they read this.
Okay. Okay.
Because it's a fail-safe.
Yeah, it's a stopgap, right?
Yeah, it's a stopgap, but I'm not sure they're gonna quite get that fact. I wonder, is there a way? Okay.
That's kind of why I went back afterwards and added the plus 10 feet of movement to make that just a clear, okay, here is something you can do.
Yeah.
But so one suggestion is, rather than this specific additional benefit, we add another benefit, one that's a little bit more obvious, I guess.
We could also just remove the reaction int save and just make it so that way crit misses aren't a bad thing for daredevils, right? You flub the attack roll. Maybe still keep the crit miss, but you get to...
Yeah, but then you have Broodweavers then you have Threadrunners making 4 attacks a turn and doing this on every single one, and that's a bit much.
Ooh, that is a good point. Yeah.
Credit to you, that was the point you made when we talked about adding reaction or not.
Oh, I just forgot that I made that point. It's amazing how when you have a sieve for a brain, you end up having arguments with yourself, just in the past.
That's what I'm here for. I remember
Thank
things
you.
very well.
Thank you, Ido. Thank you. Thank you for holding my brain cells for me.
I think the brain cells of this team are mostly held by Ido and Samo, to be quite honest.
God bless. Couldn't be me.
It's just me getting into fist fights with Fim in the corner. Well, you know.
Yeah, I just daydream and walk through all the mechanics. Yeah, I'm just constantly under a Dreamer's Delight charm effect.
But if I meant to do that. So I'm trying to like step away from the mechanics and step away from this class to just go into this empty space over here, and I'm trying to be like, when would I say, oh, I meant to do that, or that was meant to happen.
Throw a knife at a target, and then it hits a completely different target.
Right, it's get down, Mr. President. Oh yeah, I was aiming for that anyways.
Right. Yeah.
You lunge for the president ducks, and you tackle the goon behind him.
Right.
And or like that scene from Treasure Planet where Professor Dogman shoots the pistol and hits something, and she's like, oh, did you actually aim for that? And he's like, what? Yeah, of course I did. Like, yeah. I meant to do that.
I'm also just thinking of literally any combat with Deadpool in it.
Any combat with Deadpool in it. I wonder... if it might be,
Could they select a different target within range when they miss? Just bake in ricochet rounds effectively?
Well, not ricochet rounds, but maybe you can hit the next target behind them.
Sure.
Because I'm also trying to think of, like, okay.
I actually kind of like that because it rewards positioning on a mobility class. Right? Because you need to start lining people up. If it's not truly like ricochet rounds where you can just pick a target within 30 feet.
On weapons that normally wouldn't have, like, long line attacks. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think this class would get, like, linear fusion rifles.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's Threadrunner. No, they get submachine guns, pistols, simple melee weapons, and small blades. Literally, I think their longest range band comes from disadvantage attack rolls made with thrown melee weapons. Like,
I wonder if this is the wrong class to have. I meant to do that on. Because
How
we
so?
do have showman, and this feels a lot more like it's a showman thing than a daredevil thing. Like a daredevil, this would have to be some kind of recovery option from a flub.
Okay.
Possibly leaning into the narrative of, you've done this weirdly specific thing, you've practiced it so many times because you're a daredevil. Of course you know how to jump from one, tower to another or whatever.
Okay, so then maybe if we lean in with that, then it's if you fail saving throw, you get to use your reaction to do something, perhaps.
That's the sort of recovery thing is already currently it's flavored as I meant to do that, but that narrative of recovery is also already there because the entire thing is if you miss with an attack roll.
So if you miss with an
It
attack roll,
feels-
use your reaction, make an intelligence
Like
save
that point
throw.
feels more like a
Uh,
contention with actual flavoring of the feature than the feature itself.
Because I don't want this to be a critical miss, because if it's a critical miss, then you're not going to be using this feature a whole lot, because we have the whole thing up here, where
Fair enough.
it's going to default to being a critical hit, and you're going to be doing this a lot.
So if you miss with an attack roll,
Yeah, that's true, because in my brain I'm like, well, we are increasing the critical miss range, but you're right, with the overlap and critically missing with an attack is still missing with an attack. Yeah, I was getting to, I was missing the forest for the trees. So yeah, no, that's fine.
So I'm wondering if we want to do, okay, what else can we do that's not just missing with an attack roll? What else could possibly be a recovery option or a what if it's if it's you miss with an attack roll, you can spend a weave die. You can use your reaction to make an int save. On a successful save, you can spend a weave die. It always rolls the maximum for its size, and you add it to your attack roll.
that's
To
a
the
lot of expenditure.
It's a lot of expenditure.
But at higher levels, that's going to be what, a plus 10, plus 12? What is the maximum of the die again?
Plus
12.
10, or yeah, no, you're right. Plus 12.
Yeah. At higher levels, it'll be a plus 12. And it essentially comes down to this would then become an archetype that is just incredibly sure of being able to hit something.
Okay.
It is a
I
lot of
agree with
expenditure,
Ido.
though.
I agree with Ido, it's a lot of an expenditure, but here's how I think we can actually get to the essence of this. If we keep it tied to a saving throw, but they really want that effect to go off, a saving throw is a thing you can add a weave die to.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Technically, you don't even need to have. Yeah, you don't even need to add the weave die.
Yeah, so it's just, if it's not that big of a deal, you just make the int save as normal. And we should probably also make this wisdom, charisma int, right? Your choice.
Maybe,
Um,
but I kind of don't want to because
Okay.
is simply because a lot of other subclasses or all of Berserker just pretty much lets you choose Intuiz or Charisma, and I kind of want, oh, if you're picking this subclass, then you should probably pick Intelligence as your one mental
Okay.
skill to focus on.
I see it both ways. Because I know that choice is because you have the choice to pick how your woven mail is
It's
is
calculated.
is
And
calculated.
if you're, like, if you're like, oh, I want to be the Daredevil, well, I gotta pick Int for my Woven Mail because my subclass features are on Int, which means all of your Daredevils are gonna be Int casters. You're not gonna have that diversity that Woven Mail is, well, not Int casters, but Int focused for a mental stat. And you're not gonna have that diversity that the point of Woven Mail is that when you have a Thread Runner, you're casting on dexterity, but your AC is determined by one of your mental stats. So you can't ignore your mental stats. You do have to invest in one of them. But you can have an Int Thread Runner, you can have a Wiz Thread Runner, you can have a Charisma Thread Runner.
But there's nothing wrong with having a subclass that is more int focused than, or having a subclass that's more Wiz focused or Charisma focused.
I guess the choice comes down to, if you look at people, if we look at New Light specifically, every Daredevil is always an Int. How do we feel about that?
I have mixed
Okay.
feelings about that. It's tough. I see both sides of this argument. I think there's merit to both.
We can also just leave it and come back to it later. It's not like there's
We can.
anything
It's true.
anytime
It's
soon. We can leave it and give it 72 hours and see how we feel after that.
It's true. It's true.
On a successful save, you can reroll the attack with advantage.
Does the effect have to be a miss with an attack roll?
I think so.
You know what might be a fun thing for a Daredevil to be able to do? Which
What's
is they can add their weave die to the roll even after knowing the success or failure of the roll.
Ooh. Should that have penalty?
No, I think that would just
Okay.
be a neat little feature.
Okay.
That
Alright.
works.
I'm okay with that.
Because if we just do that, then we don't have to worry about adding another. First of all, we don't have to worry about. We can add the intelligence thing to something later in the class,
True. True.
or
Yeah.
earlier in the class even. Make it something.
Honestly, getting rid of the whole intelligence thing just also fixes the argument. Or like removes the need for an argument, so.
But if we did end up being like, oh, I want to have a subclass that is going to be intelligence based. Like for highly skilled, we could just make it choose something you're proficient in governed by intelligence.
Yeah, true.
You now choose to spend. Oh God, how do I want to word this?
May now. No, I think you were on the right track. Yeah, you may now add your weave die to an attack roll. Even check or saving throw. Yeah, even if you know the result. Yeah.
If you know
You could just say the outcome.
Oh yeah, the outcome.
The outcome of the roll.
Do we give that weave die a bonus if the outcome is a failure? No, they already get too many bonuses to weave
Yeah.
dice.
Yeah. This is pretty strong.
I would say to your own.
Oh, yeah, to an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw you make, perhaps, is probably, because it's about you doing it. You're the star of the show. You're the Daredevil.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Otherwise, I think that might be just a little too strong.
We just want to weave die on an attack roll. There's I don't know if we need the word that in that sentence. Do we need the word that in that sentence?
You don't.
Yeah.
It's optional.
You may weave die with advantage. what we have to do actually specifically and take the higher result.
Fine. Oh
I
yeah,
know,
because you
I
have to
know.
go ahead and like define advantage on a
Yeah.
recharge roll and
Yeah.
earlier
Yeah.
section. Yeah, I know.
I went through the same thing when I started introducing advantage on damage rolls. But we ended up defining that in game terms because we ended up using it in a lot of different spaces. You spend an additional weave rolling at a number. Should this so doubling down when you spend a weave die, or should it just be you may spend up to 2 weave dice at a time? I don't know. Ah. Ah. Ah.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
You may spend up to 2 weave dice on a roll, or at a time on an attack roll. I think it's attack roll, saving throw, or ability check. That's the order that it goes in. The ability checks are
Yep.
last. Okay. All right, Sam. Not Sam. All right, Samo. I see you up there, just writing 10 bajillion different names for this.
We each contributed 1. Actually, I think I might have
okay.
contributed 2.
Oh, you
But
contributed 2.
Okay,
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
the math. Never tell me the odds. I made a calculated risk.
I have these like flavor words, but no real names from them.
Okay,
The
so
dot
real
dot dot
names-
is very important in that.
Oh, the dot. All right, I made a calculated risk. ...
But
Unfazed.
boy, am I bad at math.
And then the real names: unfazed, unflappable, assured.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, if we wanted to do I made a calculated risk, we could also make it where, you know, you may now add your weave die to an attack roll, saving throw, or ability check. You make even if you know the outcome of the roll. If you still fail, something bad happens to you.
You lose
Which-
a random power charge. Ah, dang it.
Yeah, exactly. Lose a random charge, take recoil damage. Everyone
That's-
laughs at you.
That's where the int save comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, it's even if you still fail,
Mhm.
you get the opposite of competitive, which is for the next minute you have a -5 penalty.
You have a -1
Embarrassing.
penalty for every creature that you can see.
That
or
saw
that can
you.
see you.
Embarrassing.
Oh my god.
You could literally just add a condition called embarrassed that can only be
You
applied
become
to Daredevil.
Yeah.
Daredevil.
There is wording for that. There is specific wording for that.
We could give him embarrassed. Let's give him a real name though. I think we'll go with never tell me the odds.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that one the best out of all of them.
Huzzah.
That's fun. Yeah, that is the best one.
Time Parafall Order, never tell me the odds, and let doubling down. So,
Mhm.
Do we need all of this text in here?
nah.
No.
Okay. Then
That was Ido and I's scratch pad. Really, Ido was dictating down our mutual crazy ideas as we were working.
okay. So what are we doing next? I think that's actually it. So that addresses all of the comments. Wait, no, there's one comment that hasn't been addressed, according to my notifications. What comment hasn't been addressed?
There was a comment that I resolved earlier because it was.
Oh, and because I didn't look at it before you resolved it, it still shows up as an
I
unaddressed.
hate that it does that.
That's
Yeah.
annoying.
That is super
Bring
annoying.
it back.
Okay. To fix it, you have to scroll through your list until you find it, and then click on it, and it'll say this comment was resolved. And it's like, yeah, I know. I just wanted the notification to go away.
I think I reopened it. Did I reopen it?
It
Did you?
says reopened, but when I click on
I don't see it.
It's not
Nothing
there.
shows
It's
up.
not showing up.
Whatever. It's gone on my screen, and that's all that matters. Okay, so
The
what do we
entire-
have here?
The entire comment was a very stupid idea of you fall prone on a failed int save.
What I want to do next is we're gonna put Dreamer first. Because if you're the youngest, you go first, then it's Hooligan, then it's Daredevil.
Perfect. Beautiful.
And because this is a skill features typically get listed after every other features in the same level. Flavor text obviously still needs to be added in here, but I'm not worried about adding any of that until we actually get to like the final version of the game. Because for all we know, this happened a lot in first edition. You know, we put this into playtesting. The whole archetype is just it's ass, and we gotta delete it and start from scratch. And I don't want to spend a whole lot of time grading flavor text before I know it's a worthy investment of my time.
Valid.
Can I make a chaos table specifically a backlash table?
I am not sure if I want a backlash table separate from the chaos. I mean, obviously we have to redo the chaos table. Obviously. But I don't know if I want a separate table.
Okay.
Because I don't know if we're going to have the space for it in the final PDF.
And if it's only like a 10 option table, could just be a smaller.
Tables take up way more space than you think they do.
Valid.
Because you have to have the padding around them.
It's true. It's true.
But that's also we'll start with redoing the chaos table, and then when we get to the point where we're putting this into the PDF, which we'll start doing that once we have the class sketches all done, and that should be done by the end of June. The artists believe that they can be done by the end of June, and then we'll be able to move all of this into a proper PDF with like actual layouts and tables and stuff like that. And then we can start looking at our spacing and what we can digitally afford. Okay, anything else we want to go over about Threadrunner? I'm looking through Broodweaver as well. Did we have anything?
I just added a third archetype.
Oh, okay. Let's go look at that.
I literally.
Yeah. Okay. What were you saying there, Draconic?
Oh, I was nothing that wasn't already said. I was just saying I was about to call attention to it before Samo did, because I scrolled back through. And I was like, I don't remember seeing this before, and then realizing Samo was doing it right now.
Okay.
Live in front of us.
So, Pattern of the Mystic. This is Samo's proposal for a third archetype for the Broodweaver. Let's just read through these notes here. We got at the start, a flavor of Broodweaver that is so detached as to only be dimly aware of material reality. They know things they otherwise shouldn't, affect the world without even seeming to move. And then our proposal for features here. Third level, some feature about maybe moving proficiencies around, sacrifice proficiencies to gain bonuses to weapon attack or expertise on skills, resets on a short or long rest. The flavor here is that the Warlock is trading their ability to function in the material plane to be better at a few specific things. Possibly do this with linked creatures. So at 6th level we get the Weaver's Trance. When taking any type of rest, you partially shelter in the weave. If your rest is interrupted, your shields are considered strand aligned and you have the advantage. To recover Broodweaver powers you would have otherwise recovered on your first turn, so only for the first turn after your rest. You can take a level of exhaustion to automatically regain. If you complete the rest, gain some sort of bonus. Prophecies would be fun, but that steps on the Sunsinger's toes.
Agree. No.
11th level, change power or strand damage to psychic damage a number of times per day equal to your power level. You can do this as a free action, but must spend a reaction for your linked creatures. And extra super as a capstone, possibly at 18th level. Okay, so let's talk about the basic broad strokes here of Pattern of the Mystic, a Broodweaver so detached as to only be dimly aware of material reality. How are we feeling about that?
It's kind of neat. It immediately gave me the vibes of characters from media, like what are they called? Like the soothsayers from like Vikings, right? Like
River Song and Firefly.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, just people that are just on
It's your
another
wi-
like yeah.
It's your resident weird girl.
Yeah.
Your Greek
Would-
oracles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rainers from
Would-
Apocalypse World. um,
Would the mystic be getting a new resource, or would they be enhancing the tapestry?
Because
Well, we had
Yes.
talked about you finding somewhere to put the psychic font of energy in there, but the problem is that my idea for the psychic energy thing is tied innately to threads, and we want to put thread of blank somewhere else.
on the champion prestige class.
yeah.
So let's think here for a little moment. Because at 3rd level, you should have a feature that either A, gives you something new to play with, or B, enhances your class's cornerstone, or changes how you interact with your class's cornerstone. It needs to be a development of the character, is what needs to happen at 3rd level. The idea of moving proficiencies around seems fun up until you get to the part of having to manage it on your character sheet, and I'm imagining pencil and paper erasing a hole through their character sheet because they're doing it too much.
Yeah.
But let's see. The flavor here is the warlock is trading their ability to function in the material plane to be better at a few specific things.
So, casting powers?
Yeah.
Casting powers. I was even thinking about I'm gonna erase. I'm gonna literally erase my understanding of Ularon so that I can throw extra arcane needles or something like that.
This very well could be. We could lean into that and could lean into Elder Brain from there. Though that's also very parasite. I don't know.
As a note though, that elder brain thing you were talking about of the ability to look at something and incapacitate something, that might satisfy this super-esque power at 18th level of, you could spend your super ability to just look at something and incapacitate it for a round, maybe, I don't know.
I wouldn't even say super. I'd say once a long rest, you can.
Sure.
Future.
Fine too.
Maybe have you maintain concentration or something. I don't know.
Yeah. It could be mutual incapacitation, right? I'm gonna, or the idea that because obviously incapacitating wouldn't end it, but for as long as you keep yourself incapacitated, the target is incapacitated. And then I don't know, just spitting ideas. Kitty, you were gonna say something, I think. Save me.
I'm not gonna save you. I'm gonna let you drown. It's really funny.
Damn. The life ring's right there. It's on the side of the boat. You just gotta throw it. You don't even gotta come in the water after me. Just help me out, please.
Pattern of the Mystic. Okay, so let's step back from everything that's here and about Brood River. When we think Mystic, what comes to mind? What are the associated adjectives and verbs and all that other stuff?
Brainers.
Sure.
Medium.
Someone who can read minds. Someone who is always in the right place at the right time. Honestly, Gandalf.
Ooh.
We'll put Gandalf on the list. Yeah. Right place, right time.
Or
if we go with right place, right time, there might be a way that we can do the prophecy thing without stepping on the Sunsinger's toes.
Okay.
Which is, I wonder if it's something.
Something. You ask your DM a question and you get an answer of plot convenience.
Of plot convenience.
That's how augury works in D&D, pretty much.
Yeah, basically. Because I'm trying to... Okay. Like, obviously, we could just give them, you know, the visions dice, essentially. We reword it and we reflavor it, but it is just vision dice. But I don't know if I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, same.
I have a crazy idea. So I'm gonna
Okay.
can I say this idea and you guys just tell me I'm crazy?
Okay, yeah.
Well, I think one of the a little bit of a run up to this. I think one of the things that really gets across, because I think one of the words I'd use to describe a mystic is uncanny, right? It's this person in front of you, but they're not really behaving like a person does. And in that same way, they function inherently differently. And I think one of the ways that I always love games in general communicating that this person sees things that they don't, right? It's like in video games, they fourth wall break, or they'll inherently mess with the mechanics themselves. So what if the Mystic has the ability to, for their linked creatures, do things like swap their places in the initiative order? Like, no, you're actually going now. Things like that, or superimpose mechanics and things like that, because they see the fabric of reality. Is that crazy? Something like that?
Not too crazy. Warlord does have an option of swapping places and changing their initiative, but I think it's just delaying it. Let me go double check what Berserker Warlord.
Or switch
options
positions. Switch positions, which is the ability to
Revenge, lunging, force of presence, analyze. No, that is not. Oh yeah, that's right. Because I remember now. I had something in here that I wanted to do that, but I decided not to put it in the Warlord options because I wanted to float the idea of making that a general action in the game.
Oh, to just swap places in the initiative order?
Yeah. Or to delay your turn, where
sure.
you as your action on your turn, you delay. You can't take any. You can't move or take any bonus actions on this turn. You know, your turn immediately ends.
Sure.
And,
well, we could still have that and just give the Mystic here the ability to, as a reaction at the start of, as a reaction when a linked creature would take their turn, you can swap their initiative order with another linked creature, effectively, is the mechanic there, right? So you could go, actually, no, I'm going now. Thank you for paving the way. Or if somebody's, we've all played D&D before where somebody has been in a very bad position and you're looking at the initiative order going, oh my gosh, we have to go through 7 turns of people before we figure out whether this... You could just go, actually, nope, they're going now. I'll give up my turn. Yeah, I'll swap my turn with them, right? Or something like that. I think it could give a really mechanically tactical mindset while also conveying that idea that this Mystic moves different, so to speak. Maybe? I don't know.
Possibly. I don't know if that's a 3rd level feature, though. As in, that's enough of a feature to justify being their 3rd level personality development.
Sure.
If we wanted to return to the idea of the... Oh, go ahead, Samuel.
I was just, kind of thinking of fun ideas. The Mystic themselves is weird, but they also psychic, as a brood weaver, they psychically connect to other creatures. If the Mystic was linked to to another creature, and they said, "Oh, I'm gonna give you." They basically do the I know Kung Fu thing from the Matrix, where they upload information, except it's kind of a forcibly cramming that knowledge into somebody else. It's like, hang on, I'm gonna give you 3 years of French really quick. What?
Yeah.
Don't we have that kind of already on one of the other ones?
Yes, but
It's on the base class.
On the base class, yeah, where you can.
Psychic font, I think.
The psychic font.
What's interesting though is it only that feature only benefits yourself, right? It's basically
that's a 13th level feature, but you get this at 3rd level.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Problem.
I see it.
Yeah.
So if we want to return to the psychic font idea, Something to consider if we wanted to do that. 1E's Night Stalker focus actions, where you have an amount of focus, you regain 1 each turn. Unless you haven't spent any, then you regain 2. You can spend your focus in the following ways. There's a whole bunch of options, and they all cost different things, and you have a max that goes up as you level up. We could do that same system, but just it's your psychic energy, and you get this 1 at the start of each of your turns. If you didn't use any psychic actions, then you get 2 instead. There's a maximum as dictated by your class level, see the table, so on and so forth.
We can do that. That would be a simple way to... That'd be simple. And then all the class features could kind of... Okay.
Maybe, yeah. Could do that.
I have ideas. It's practical.
I just wonder if if we're trying to come up with a unique flavor of weird, should it really be based on other types of weird that we have in the game? Does that make sense? That's like my only... It's more of like a narrative hang-up.
What other weirds are in the game? Like, name... what's another weird in the game?
Voidwalkers.
Okay. What do they do that's the same?
I guess, to be fair, I haven't looked at 2E Voidwalker very much. Are they, like, fundamentally different with their, like, marks of the void and stuff?
Well, they have the marks, but it's not that, they get a list of action options,
That's true.
And they
That's
spend resources to take the action options. The closest you're going to get to that is the Stormcaller's arc charges, but, obviously these are going to be weird-ass shit you can do, not, do electricity.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, could pursue this idea for sure. To be honest, I think even just pursuing it as a thought experiment, I don't think is a bad idea. It's not like we're gonna come up with bad mechanics that even if they don't fit here, couldn't be used elsewhere, right? So. And
if we were coming up with the list of your weird ass shit you can do.
Class feature weird ass shit.
Yeah, class feature with some weird ass shit. We definitely want it to be like, how did you do that? Where did that come from? What are you talking about?
Yeah. Okay. And if we did it that way too, could actually make these level up features very straightforward if it's just you get more picks of these things.
Yeah.
At these levels, right? And in that way too, could even be kind of in that vein of prophecies without it being like, like how Sunsinger's visions are. If literally the idea is that as a mystic, you're developing your prophecy as you level up. You're developing your thread that you're adding to the tapestry of fate. So you're just,
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I was at a concluding point of my thought, so please continue.
So if we're gonna bounce off the idea of prophecies, if we're gonna make that your 3rd level feature, one thing that we could possibly do that wouldn't really be stepping on Sunsinger, because Sunsinger it's just straight up replacing the role. But the prophecy could be like, when you complete a long rest, choose 2 prophecies, and it's a list of shit. And the shit, it can be things like, a creature you see within 30 feet of you misses on an attack roll. That's the prophecy. And if the prophecy comes to pass over the next 24 hours, you get to do a thing.
I like that.
You find you find a penny, but something like that. You're gonna find a penny. They do that, and now you get a power recharge. You get a power. You can just get a power back without having to roll.
Yeah.
Actually. And
could do that.
And it's just
I like that. I think that's kind of fun. I actually do really like that. I think that's kind of fun.
Like, and then what's the list of things that you could pick from? Which is just going to be creature you can see misses an attack roll.
Avoid D20 rolls just to not step on Sunsinger. So maximize damage, maximize power recharge. minimize
but
power
I'm thinking
reach.
it's not you do these things, it's this thing happens and you immediately get to do something because it happened. You don't get to control when it happens or how it happens. It's you're not replacing any dice roll, you're not causing any
You're not
dice
asking
rolls.
you're not asking about the triggers, you're asking about the effects.
No, I'm asking about the triggers. What's the list of triggers?
Let's see. A creature fails a roll against a power save DC. So something fails. There's always going to be some dreg that fails. That's easy. A creature is knocked prone. Somebody rolls a natural 1 on a weapon attack, so that's their weapon jams, basically.
Stuff like
So
that. It's the list
something
of
to
triggers.
bear in mind. Let's assume something to bear in mind. Assume the GM is behind a screen. So, and let's imagine this Brood Weaver picks a couple of prophecies, and the GM just said if the GM rolls a natural 1 on an attack, but all they say is, "Oh, this misses," because they're not thinking about their prophecies. So I would think it would kind of have to be, at least initially, dictated by what the players and what happens on the PC's side, in order to stop Mystic players from going, "Oh, did it roll a natural 1?" every single time the GM says it misses, or people forgetting. At least at the initial level.
I mean, the easiest way to make that the case is the triggers primarily apply for your linked creatures. Your prophecy is targeted, and that's the way that it bakes into the mechanic, right? Is that when one of your linked creatures performs one of these triggers.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I think that's a
pretty
that problem.
I think that's a pretty no-nonsense solution, because then it's just a player badgering another player about their dice rolls, which is fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I can do that to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. But yes, no, Samo, that is a very good point. As a GM, especially as a GM who does my very best to remember my players' mechanics, it would tick me off to no end if they pick critical miss on an attack roll. I have an oops all legionnaires encounter, and they go, "Was that a critical miss?" It's like, buddy, I know. I know. It's kind of like when hunters are like, "Did you account for dodge?" And it's like, I mean, it's literally marked as an icon on your token. Like, yeah, I see it. I get it. I know that it's strange that this dreg hits you, but sometimes that happens. So yeah, I think avoiding those social friction points is always a good thing to look out. Just because a mechanic's a good game mechanic doesn't mean it's a good social mechanic.
All right. So if we had a bunch of triggers,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I would prefer to have triggers that aren't super duper general. I mean, they need to be
Sure.
that fine line between general enough that it's probably going to happen during the course of your session, but not so general that like, oh, if I just pick this trigger, I know this is going to happen.
Sure. Gotta be in that middle ground, right?
It's got to be in that middle.
Or critical miss is, I think, a good one.
Yeah. Here's the other thing too, right? Because if we pair, right? I don't know how customizable we want to get. We could go as customizable as you pick a trigger and then you pick an effect, and that's the prophecy. You're literally building your prophecies. Or we could inherently pair them. And if we inherently pair them, then we could have safe prophecies. And your riskier prophecies, and especially if at 3rd level a player can pick 2, then they might pick a very common one, and they might pick a rare one. And I do kind of like some prophecies being safer picks than others, not just from the mechanical standpoint, but it also lets people play those, like in movies and stuff. You're almost oh, what is that show where the guy pretends to be psychic? Psych! Literally psych.
Literally psych, yeah.
Yeah, you could be a psych, Pattern of the Mystic, where you're like, It's like, oh yes, I knew, literally takes a peek in the back of the kitchen and sees that there's an order of bread rolls coming out to the table because it's Olive Garden. You're getting the breadsticks, and they go, you're going to have some sort of garlic flavored carb at dinner tonight, and then the breadsticks arrive, and it's like, yeah, dude, we knew that was gonna happen. It's like, no, I saw it through the weave of time, and it's like, you're annoying as shit, but fine, I'll take my +1 on this roll, right? Like, it lets people play those characters, and as long as the effect isn't broken, that's not a problem.
I do like being able to choose both the trigger and the effect you want to go with it.
I do. I'm a fan of both. I genuinely am a fan of both.
Okay. Like, let's just pretend for the sake of argument, this is our list of triggers. What's our list of effects then?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this is a pretty basic list. This is probably going to need a lot more refinement over time.
For sure.
What's our list of effects?
Something I will say, I kind of don't want things like, oh, you can just you can re-roll what you did.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want the effects to be, all right, because this happened, but because of that, something else happens. Otherwise, you just get into the territory of everybody's like, I rolled a natural 1. No, you didn't.
Yeah, no. I agree, and that kind of a thing would step on like Sunslinger's toes, right? For sure.
Yeah.
Of it just being purely reactions to failures.
And I can see a Sunsinger spending their visions to cause a trigger.
This is the I same wavelength, Kitty. I love that
Yeah.
kind of an interaction, right?
Where they're symbiotic.
Yeah, exactly. We want them to potentially be symbiotic, not dissonant. Yeah, like I was literally, honestly, I was kind of, maybe not automatically regain, but have the ability to make a power, like a recharge roll.
There's no power. They're all power. They're called powers.
Yeah, but like melee grenader class. Yeah. A Freudian typo, as it were. Yeah. Extra die. But they're important words, Kitty. They should be capitalized. Extra charge roll you make. Okay. Yeah. That might be. I like that. That's just one of those things that might.
The U is a little ambiguous. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Broodweaver. What I don't want is this happens, and now the another Warlock's going to cast a Rift, and everybody gets an extra die on their shield recharge roll.
That's fair. My thing is, if it's just a floating dice around the table, it might be something that gets missed. But as far as a vibe goes, I think that's a great idea for an effect. I just know that that's the stuff that I forget about and my players forget about at my table when I play games. If there's just a floating arbitrary die.
Mm-hmm. If we're gonna do this, I feel like the effects have got to be weird. The effects have got to be weirder than this.
Okay.
How about the latest one I put
I want to float the idea of you pick a trigger, you pick an effect. If the trigger happens, you get to enact the effect, but first, everyone around you has to make a wisdom saving throw, or they get befuddled by the whispers or something like that.
So we're building a formula, right? We have trigger, effect, but, right? like
But.
Trigger, effect, quirk.
Alternatively, we just make it so that the effects themselves have the quirk attached to them. So if the effect is regain a blah 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 power charge, the weirdness, maybe you steal the charge from someone else is the weirdness. I don't know. Like, it needs to be weird and it needs to be unsettling.
Sure. I had the idea of as like a quirk. It's like whether it's baked into the effect or not. It's like every creature within 30 feet moves 5 feet to the left. We just weird shit like that. But I don't know. That's maybe a little too silly.
It's not too bad.
Okay.
This is normal.
This is normal. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
That's
just
what
suddenly.
I'm saying is the effects are too normal.
Okay.
That's
Just-
what I'm saying is that we can't have normal effects. We've written out a bunch of normal effects, but it can't be normal. This needs to be weird. The reaction from other players interacting with this archetype should be, "Oh my god, do you have to be this way?"
Right, yeah, exactly. It's that scene from the Babadook of Why Can't You Be Normal, and the child is screaming endlessly in the back seat.
No,
Yeah.
fuck it, chaos table.
I mean, we could do more chaos.
Fuck it,
I
chaos
can-
table.
It'll require a little bit of thinking from me, but I can get back to you with a list of
A
like
third
list of
chaos
some
table.
really weird. Not another chaos table, just like a list of really weird effects.
Yeah, no, I would love a list of really weird effects. And if we do trigger, effect, and side effect. You pick a
I
trigger,
thought of
you pick an effect, and when your trigger happens, a random side effect also happens.
What if one of the random side effects is oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the phrasing of it. But it's the idea that you look down and the gun you're using wasn't the gun you were using a second before. Like, you have to swap, like hot swap to a different gun. You know, so your gunslinger has their weapon of choice Suros regime out, and then all of a sudden they look down and it's their night watch, right? Like, it's like, what is happening?
Like that,
but
exactly.
Yeah.
If someone disappears,
It's almost,
serve your next
it almost sounds like it should be
Someone
a
disappears.
almost should be like a 3-stage thing. You know, you got your cause, you have your there's the cause, there's the effect, but there's also the weird thing in the middle that happens to bring you from point A to point B.
Yeah. Kitty, what was the word that you said? Side effect?
Side effects, yeah.
Yeah.
It should be pick a trigger, pick an effect. When your trigger occurs, you get your effect and a random side effect that you roll at that time. You can't control the side effect. Alternatively, it's the weirdness is baked into each individual effect, and that's how we can balance out that one effect. Either way,
yeah, and that could allow for some really cool ones as well, right? Where, you know, the more potent your prophecy is, the weirder it is, and baking that in inherently does that. I kind of like that. It kind of gives me mutagenic blood hunter vibes in that regard, where you have all of your different alchemical tinctures and concoctions that you're like pumping into yourself. And the more potent one is, usually the worse the side effect is.
Right.
But I like that. I think that's super fun. And this is obviously not alchemical tinctures, it's prophecies that you're receiving from you attempting to understand the threads of time.
Yeah, no, it's analyzing the pattern of the weave and predicting what's coming next. It's
I love
Osiris.
It's Osiris. Yeah,
it's Osiris in the Infinite Forest.
Yep. Poor
You're a
poor
Vex
Saint.
now.
Poor Saint.
Poor Saint.
Saint
Burn
was,
someone in the face. No. It needs to be when you throw your next grenade, you hit a bird halfway.
Oh. Yeah. It could be something like that, right? Like, all linked creatures can only use the shortest range category of their weapons for the next round, right? Like, you just
Yours is a random time.
I feel like something else. It should. Let's say a link. You know, so a linked creature has to be the trigger. You know, so a linked creature does point this, but on the next linked creature's turn, that's when the quirk is going to happen, kind of at the same time. So, you know, Hunter trips and falls and lands flat on their face. The Brood Reaver has, you know, basically foreseen that. So it's the Titan's turn, and we know what the effect will be. We don't know what the quirk will be.
Yeah.
Okay, but it all happens on the Titan's turn or something like that.
I'm getting a GM headache from that one, Kitty, but that's really funny. Especially since it doesn't... Well, I guess, because if does that affect, like... Is that only for linked creatures, that one?
Yeah, the effects
Yeah.
are only on your link. It's not all creatures.
Yeah, because that wouldn't do anything. In the back of my mind,
Yeah.
that would be really funny, though. Of like, no, everyone's
Or
quicker, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? We're all moving the same speed. It's like, no, speed is relative. We're all moving faster now. It's like, I hate you. I hate you. I'm trading you in for a normal warlock. Okay, a more normal warlock when we get back to the tower.
The next, I guess, hang on. The next projectile.
It's literally just that one video from that one baseball clip.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, guy throws the fastest fastball he's ever thrown, but it hits a seagull. The seagull explodes.
It just explodes into... What a way to die, too. Oh,
yeah.
God. I feel sad now. We gotta go back to weird shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just gotta be weird things. The teleporting and stuff. And
I'm gonna modify this to ground it a little bit.
What is trick room?
Adjacent to...
You could use the word grounded. That's a mechanical term.
Yeah. Oh no! I was really making it like something that a more direct mechanic is what I'm trying to say. Teleport to a character.
I was gonna say just teleport to a random ground.
6 evens.
I'm just spitballing. I'm not outlining any
No, you're good. You're good. I like this one enough. I had a more codified mechanic for it. Thank you.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, the idea is like, yeah, you get to teleport adjacent to somebody, but you roll a d6 and it's either going to be an enemy or a friend.
You're on the. I just want you to imagine the quirk side effect. You know, the next projectile hits a bird on accident. You're having a session on the moon, fighting the hive. Somebody shoots, and a random bat, dactyl, or bird just explodes.
Yeah,
where did the bird come from?
It's great. Yeah. Oh, even worse. It eats a golden gun shot. Right?
Oh, damn it.
Yeah. Could you imagine too, like that trigger? Like, I don't know. Somehow these triggers and effects result in the gunslinger getting to cast golden gun. Their turn's immediately up next. They cast golden gun. They shoot to kill the boss. Oh, it's a batadactyl. God damn it.
Bird.
Bird. Fucking bird.
To make this one a little bit more lore friendly, we could just, the next part hits a different projectile or whatever, you know? Something like that. There's a rock, the world's tiniest meteor. Idle, no, get that out of here. Get that out of here. Zol shows up, my god. Okay.
I love that.
I think this is a great cornerstone for a mystic who can just be weird as fuck, and the goal of this archetype is to make everyone else on the fire team go, why do you exist? I think we got something here for that.
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
Since Pigeon Saint hates you now. God damn it. Okay. I don't think there's too much more.
Osiris's exclusive Broodweaver mystic power is that he never summons pigeons.
He never, He never summons pigeons. Or if he does, it's just to hold them gently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he loses his next turn to cradling the pigeon and petting it.
Alright, I think that's all we're gonna get done here today.